Alright, we're live. Welcome to episode 9 of the Pro Go Baduk and Weiqi podcast. Again, this is Xiao Dai, and we have again
Gaza.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure people are starting to question why I always do that, but that's just what it is. So let's get into it. Gaza. So I think this week it feels like it was a great start to the week. But then towards the end, it kind of calmed down a little bit. So let's start.
Explosive start.
Explosive start. Let's start with the Globis Cup, which just the whole tournament took place over one weekend.
Yes, a very condensed international tournament, the biggest under-20 tournament in the world.
Yeah.
28 games.
Yeah.
In over Saturday and Sunday.
Now I didn't bother doing any graphics or listing down the players, but a commenter in the comment did. It's split into 8 groups, isn't it? The tournament at the beginning.
So specifically, there's 16 players.
Mm-hmm.
6 Japanese players, 3 Chinese, 3 Koreans.
Yep.
And then there is 1 Taiwanese player, 1 North American player, 1 European player, and then 1 sort of rest of the world player.
Yeah, but I think it's somehow often translated as Oceania.
Yeah, that's what I get as well, but they're not always from Oceania. But anyway, they're split into 4 groups of 4 players.
Right. Yeah.
And then the first day, each group has 3 double elimination rounds to reduce the 4 players to 2.
Yeah. And I think in the last podcast we may have gone through each of these groups.
Yes, we did.
Yes. So okay, shall we do it like this? Shall we just go through the results as we remember them, and see how we go?
Yes. So in Group A, Tsuji Shigehito lost to Zhou Hongyu.
Yep.
And Joe Bunin beat Pongsakan Sonara.
Yep.
Those were both not surprising.
No.
In Group B, we had our first shock.
Yep.
Watanabe Kandai actually beat Minjun.
Yes.
The former Globis Cup champion.
Yeah. That was quite a shock. What?
Yeah, that was a big upset.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone predicted that.
No, I think we were all predicting Minjun was gonna, I mean, this is a tough group, but no.
Oh no, it was a tough group, and I don't think we thought it was going to be between Minjun, Wang Jinghao, and Lai Junfu as to which 2 would make it out of the group. We didn't expect Watanabe Kandai to even win a game, really.
No, but because I don't think we've even heard of him.
No, I dismissed him. I said I'd never heard of any of the Japanese players except for one of them, who we'll get to soon.
Yes. Now, I think it might be worthwhile mentioning the other player's name, which is Fukuoka Kotaro.
Well, we'll get to him soon. Let's just quickly go over the other game in Group B.
Okay, Kaza, there's a reason why I mentioned him at this stage. It's because I listened to Oh no, I didn't listen to it. I saw a post online. It was by a Chinese person who always translates Japanese articles.
Right.
He mentioned that Watanabe Kandai was supposedly in the same class as Fukuoka Kotaro, with it's considered that in Japan. So even though we'd never heard of him, perhaps he's kind of in the same class as Fukuoka. But let's get to it when we get to it.
Wow. Okay. I didn't even know.
It was a surprise to me as well, but that's why I want to mention it right now. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I may have to look further into him. But anyway, the other game in Group B, Wang Jinghao beat Lai Junfu.
Yep. Which is not really a surprise. Huh?
No, not really a surprise. Wang Jinghao, I consider to be the hot favourite for this. He's the defending champion.
Yeah. And
Group C, we had another bit of an upset.
Yeah.
Fukuoka Kotaro beat Tu Xiaoyu.
Yes.
Now Fukuoka was the only player that I really the only Japanese player that I really sort of thought had a chance of doing well in this tournament.
Yes.
So I did expect him to do well, but I didn't expect him to beat Tu Xiaoyu, who was the runner-up last year in the Globis Cup.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a really good game.
Now apparently, this is not the first time Fukuoka Kotaro have beaten Tu Xiaoyu actually.
Okay, when else?
I think they had a Nongshim special tournament, not that long ago, and I believe.
Oh, was that this year?
Yeah, it might have been last year or earlier this year. I can't exactly remember, but in that tournament, Fukuoka Kotaro also beat Tu Xiaoyu, and apparently Tu said something really controversial after the game.
What did he say?
He said, "Oh, this loss is just to give some happiness to the Japanese players."
What, he actually said that?
Yeah. Now I don't know if he actually did say that, but that seems to be circulated around in the Chinese social media. So he might have said something or something like that. Which people added color to it, and it's kind of become worse and worse. That could have happened like that, but apparently he said something similar like that, and which was obviously not looked upon very favorably, and it's happened again. He lost again to Fukuoka Kotaro.
Yep.
So
yeah, big surprise there. That and then Han Woo-jin, he easily defeated the European representative Arved Pittner.
Yeah. I think if the game finished within 100 moves.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it was a very short game.
I think the group died. And I also, of course, recognize the name Han Woo-jin from the Weiqi League in Korea.
Yes, he was one of the wildcards selected in the Korean YK Construction Cup.
Yep. That's right.
So,
yeah. So this is very promising.
He's expected to do well for Korea.
Yep, 100%. Yep.
And then Group D, Nishimura Jin lost to Lee Yeon from Korea.
Yep.
And Mori Chisaki beat Kevin Yang.
Yes.
The North American representative who we already know from the Transatlantic Cup.
Yes, that's right.
Now, that was round one.
Yeah.
Since this is double elimination, none of the players are eliminated from the tournament yet. You have to lose twice.
Yeah.
In the first day.
Yeah.
To be eliminated.
Yeah.
So the second round, the two winners of each group play each other.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever wins that game, they're already through to Sunday's games.
Yep.
They qualify for Sunday's games and they don't have to play any more on Saturday.
Yeah.
The two losers of the group in round one, they play each other in round two, and whoever loses that one, they're eliminated.
Yeah.
So they're out of the tournament.
Yeah. So in
Group A, we had who did we have? So Zhou Hongyu.
Yep.
Against Zhou Bunin.
Yep.
And Zhou Hongyu won that.
Yep.
So that is Zhou Hongyu from China already through to Sunday.
Yep.
And meanwhile, Suji Shigehito defeated Pongsakan Sonara.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. So
that's Pongsakan Sonara is out of the Globis Cup.
Yep.
I think they played in the last year's Globus Cup as well, and they also lost. They also lost their first two games.
Yep.
Let me just quickly check. Yeah, they did.
Yep.
But obviously very difficult.
Yeah.
Being an amateur.
Yeah. I mean.
Anyway, Group B.
Yeah.
So Group B, this was Watanabe Kandai versus Wang Jinghao.
Yep.
And Wang Jinghao won that, so as expected, Wang Jinghao is through to Sunday.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Minjun had to play Lai Junfu.
Yep.
And it was a close game, but Minjun actually lost.
Yes.
So that means not only is Minjun out of the Globus Cup, but he lost. He didn't even win a game, and
no.
I did a small check. That's the first time a Globus Cup champion has been eliminated from a different edition of the tournament without winning a game.
Right. So they have been in eliminations before, but they at least won one game.
Yeah, there have been eliminations before, and I'm talking about any edition that they've played either after they won the Globus Cup or before they won their Globus Cup.
Right. Yeah.
They've never no champion, no former or future champion has ever been eliminated from the Globus Cup with 2 straight losses.
Yeah. So that's a bit of a first
until Minjun. So it's quite a shock.
Yeah.
He was considered, a favorite going into the tournament.
Yeah.
And it was expected that he would do well.
Yeah.
Having won against an extremely strong field 2 years ago,
Yeah.
he beat Li Weiqi, Sheke, and Liao Wanhe.
Yeah. Which is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, which is crazy. And now 2 years later, he doesn't seem to have improved all that much.
No, and just exited. And I think I did look at his game versus Watanabe, and I also heard some criticism online. Basically, he says he's just played in a kind of very arrogant way, and that almost as if the Japanese players weren't able to gonna catch him to catch his mistakes, but it didn't really work out for him. He lost to the Japanese player and the Taiwan player, two of the minor regions.
He lost, but this was going to be a difficult group, but he lost both of his games without even playing Wang Xinghao.
Yeah, so I mean, God knows what would have happened if he did play. But anyway, so Moon's out.
Yeah, very disappointing. Definitely the most disappointing performance of the tournament.
Right. Yep.
But anyway, we move on. Fukuoka Kitaro played Han Wujin.
Yeah.
The 2 winners of Group C, and I think that was probably the most interesting game of the day.
Yeah.
That one. It was very interesting game with some massive sacrifices, some massive trade-offs.
Yeah.
And it ended up with Fukuoka winning by half a point in the end.
So it was very, 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 very close. Could have gone out.
Yeah, and it's also something that we should remind people of is that the time controls for this tournament are very, very fast. It's 30 seconds per move.
Yeah.
With 10 1-minute Byoyomis.
Yeah.
Now I know some people, when I've mentioned these time controls before, some people have gotten very confused. How can you have 30 seconds a move, but then the Byoyomis are 1 minute?
Yeah.
But it's really not that hard to understand. You get each move is 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But if you want, you can add a minute to your time.
For up to
Instead of spending 30 seconds, you can spend a minute and 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But you can only add that minute 10 times.
Yes. And I remember watching this game, and it was how this black group looks like it might die and just fighting this code.
Yes.
This code got really crazy and ended up fighting this code over here. Look.
Yeah.
and later on, there's black even got to Atari on top of that as well. It's really crazy. Look, black got the Atari here, and this is black is Fukuoka. So black ended up winning, end up doing quite well. No, it didn't win this ko, but
no, he actually lost that ko, and his group in the bottom right died.
Yeah,
but it was a huge trade-off. He managed to get points elsewhere.
Yeah, and look, I mean, the whole thing got captured.
Notice how the bottom left stones, they're actually dead.
Bottom left.
The white stone?
Yep, this one.
The white group in the bottom left is actually dead.
Yes, okay, this one, yes. So that's traded with that kind of thing. So it ended up being half a point game as well, which is quite remarkable, despite having these massive dead groups. So it was quite a crazy game. Yeah. I remember watching this.
Yeah, very interesting. And it was a good game. Yeah. But Fukuoka won, which meant that Japan had a representative go into Sunday.
Yes, at least one. Yay.
At least one. Yeah. Mind you, they've always had a representative going into the second day. You typically, because they have 6 players. There'll always be 2 groups with 2 Japanese players. So
right.
depending on who the other players are, you typically get at least one of the Japanese qualifying from it. But
Right.
anyway, Fukuoka advances
Yep.
while Tuzhou Yu again easily beat Arvid Pitner.
Yep.
So Europe's representative was eliminated.
Eliminated. Yep. Another amateur gone. So I guess the next game in Group C would be 2 versus Han to see who progresses.
Yes. So we'll get into the final round. We'll just quickly go through Group D's games.
Yeah.
So Lee Yon and Mori Chisaki played off as the two winners, and Lee Yon won.
Yep.
So that's Korea's first representative into the Sunday.
Yep.
Qualifying the Sunday.
Yep.
While Nishimura Jin actually lost to Kevin Yang.
Yes.
So Kevin Yang, the North American representative, did win a game.
Yep.
And eliminates a Japanese pro.
Yeah, which is, I mean, the two Japanese pro in each group are one Dan. So I mean, just probably new pros, but still very impressive for amateur.
No, well, you have to remember that all of these Japanese players had to qualify, so they had to beat other Japanese pros.
Yes.
Qualify for this Globus Cup. So
yeah. So that's a really
they
great.
didn't just randomly pick 6 Japanese players. Yeah. So
yeah,
it is very impressive.
Yeah.
And well done to Kevin Yang.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that wraps up
the first
round
2.
Two.
Yep.
So now in each group, one of the players is already through to Sunday.
Yep.
And one of the players is already eliminated.
Yep.
So each group has 2 players that are on 1 win and 1 loss.
Yep.
And in round 3, those players play each other. So there's only 4 games in round 3.
Yep.
Now, in Group A, that is Suji Shigehito and Joe Bunen, so 2 Japanese players.
Yep.
Suji Shigehito won that.
Yep.
And so he goes through to Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
That's Japan's second player.
Yep.
To make it through to Sunday.
Yep.
In Group B, Watanabe Kandai lost to Lai Junfu.
Yep.
So Lai Junfu, Taiwan's representative, makes it through to Sunday.
Yep.
In Group C, we have Tu Xiaoyu versus Han Woo-jin.
Yep.
And Tu Xiaoyu won.
Yep.
So Tu Xiaoyu, he did have a bit of a hiccup, but he did end up making it through to Sunday.
Yep.
While Han Woo-jin, this is Korea's last representative, he's eliminated. So Korea only has 1 player
making it through.
And what's interesting is that Moon Minjun was neither Moon Minjun nor Han Woo-jin had to qualify for this Globus Cup. Moon Minjun was selected as the national team representative.
Yep.
And Han Woo-jin was selected as the ranking representative. So he had the highest rank.
Yep.
Of the players eligible. Whereas Lee Yeon, who actually made it through to Sunday, he had to qualify.
Yeah.
He had to beat other junior players.
Yeah.
Just to represent Korea in the Globus Cup.
Yeah.
And Moon Min-jung and Han Woo-jin, they only managed to scrap 1 win between them.
Yeah.
That was against an amateur. So
that wasn't that great a performance by Korea.
Yeah, disappointing performance. Yes.
Disappointing. Definitely a bit uncharacteristic of Korea.
Yes.
But
yes, and certainly something that they should focus on.
Yeah. Maybe they do have a problem with youth. Not sure. But that doesn't seem to be going.
But anyway, let's just quickly go to the final game of Group D. So that would be between
Kevin Yang
and Mori Chisaki. So this is a rematch. I think this was the only rematch.
Right. Yeah.
Of day 1. So in the first round, Mori Chisaki beat Kevin Yang.
Yep.
So now round 3, Kevin Yang got revenge. He beat Mori Chisaki.
Yes. Which means that
Kevin Yang made it through to Sunday.
Yeah. And last time I checked, Kevin Yang was still unbeaten in the Transatlantic League.
Yes,
So this kind of isn't really surprising given that kind of result.
well, no, not entirely surprising, but it is still really incredible that he's beaten two
Yeah.
Japanese pros.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, I'm just quickly checking now, but it looks like he is the first amateur to make it through to the second day.
Yes. And I wouldn't be
Globus
really
Cup.
surprised if that's actually true, you know? Cuz
No, I've just checked he is.
yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of
I'm
impressive.
not sure if other amateurs have won a
Yeah.
game before in the Globus Cup. That I can't be bothered to
Yeah.
check that, but he's definitely the first amateur to make it through the quarterfinals.
Yeah. I think
And
he's an amateur with like at least like kind of pro or at least almost pro strength. And I believe I checked the North American pros certification tournament. He's in it. So he might become pro actually.
yeah,
Soon.
he might become pro very soon then.
Yep. All right, so that wraps up the group stages.
So that means that in the going into the second day we have all three Chinese players,
Yep.
two Japanese players, one Korean player, one Taiwanese player, and one North American player.
That's a great mix. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Of course, we were looking at some footage of the Chinese setup. I believe this was played in Chuzhou. So this was set up just for these three young players. Of course, that's two there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mind you, these are the same three Chinese players that participated last year.
Right. Yeah. So it's the same, and also all three of them have won the Rookie King in China. So this is a very strong group.
Very strong, yes.
Yes. So okay. So let's look at the results. The lineup that they did a draw afterwards.
Yeah, so the draw is sort of there's no random draw
Right.
after day one like in many of the open majors.
Right.
All of the quarterfinals are already predetermined. Like it's always, it was already set to be, like the winner of Group A plays second place in Group B or something like that, right?
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, all of the quarterfinals are set up so that the winner of one group plays the runner-up of another.
Yep.
And one interesting thing to note is that Wang Jinghao and Tu Xiaoyu actually played in the final last year
Yep.
in the Globus Cup.
Yep.
If Tu Xiaoyu won his group,
Yep.
they could have met again in the final.
Yes. Yes.
But because Wang Jinghao won his group and Tu Xiaoyu only finished second, they're now in the same half of the draw.
Yep.
So they can't meet in the final. So it's not gonna be a repeat final. It could be a repeat winner, but not a repeat final.
Yep. Yep.
But anyway, so these quarterfinal matchups. So Zhou Hongyu versus Taiwan's Lai Junfu,
Yep.
and Zhou Hongyu won that one.
Yep. I think we might go to the one with where they have actually won.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, that's too far. Yes. I think because everything happened so fast.
Yeah, no, everything happened at the same all of these, the quarterfinals, semifinals, and the final all happened on the same day.
Yep.
So Zhou Hongyu won that one. I think that was as expected.
Yep.
The second quarterfinal, Fukuoka Kataro versus Kevin Yang. So Kevin Yang's dream run ended at the quarterfinals. Obviously, Fukuoka Kataro very strong and proved to be too strong for Kevin Yang.
Yep.
But still, just an incredible performance by Kevin Yang, and he should be very proud.
Yep. And Kevin's only 14, I believe.
Yes, I found that out yesterday. He's only 14, so he could participate in several more Globus Cups, and he's already doing this. He could have been I'm not sure if he was the youngest representative. Maybe some of the Japanese players were younger, but he could have been the youngest.
Yeah.
And he was definitely he must have been the youngest in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Yes.
So very impressive performance.
Yeah. Who knows what he can do in the next couple of years?
Yeah, no, let's see, because this is a U20 tournament. If he continues to run, he could rack up quite a few years of experience in this.
Yep.
Of course, that's assuming there's no another U20 North American player taking his place. But that's.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'd be excited for any North American representative for the next few years.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll see a European quarterfinalist at least in the future.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But moving on, the third quarterfinal was Wang Jinghao versus Suji Shigehito, and that was a expected win by Wang Jinghao.
Yep.
No surprise there.
No surprise. Yep.
And then finally, Korea's only remaining representative Lee Yeon versus China's Tu Xiaoyu.
Yeah.
And it was hoped that this was going to be a tough match for Lee Yeon, but Tu Xiaoyu obviously, he had lost the game already this tournament, so maybe Lee Yeon had a chance, but in the end I think he lost in Yosei, or he just couldn't beat Tu Xiaoyu. So that's actually no Koreans in the semifinals.
Yep.
And that's go on.
Is that Korea's worst result ever?
Yeah, so Korea's always had at least one representative in the quarterfinals, so they've never had less than one.
Yep.
So already having one in the quarterfinals is their tied with their lowest. But the only time there was only in the very first Globus Cup did Korea get no semi-finalists, and in that Globus Cup Korea had 2 quarterfinalists.
Yeah.
So objectively, statistically speaking, this is Korea's worst performance. They've never had one quarterfinalist and 0 semi-finalists before.
Yeah. So hopefully that's not a sign of things to come, but
No, hopefully that's a wake-up call.
Yeah.
I do know that I know of one very promising young Korean player.
Yeah.
Who should be appearing in future Globus Cups. Just a hint, it's a girl.
Oh, Kim Eun-ji.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
And there were just a couple of weeks ago. There was there was a 13-year-old and a 14-year-old just turned pro.
Yeah.
So a lot of potential perhaps with those students. Other than that, who knows?
All right.
I think this should be a wake-up call to Korea's youth development. But anyway, the semi-finalists now are Fukuoka Kotaro.
Yep.
And all 3 Chinese representatives, Zhou Hongyu, Wang Jinghao, and Tu Xiaoyu.
Yep. So it's okay. So we have first up Zhou Hongyu versus Fukuoka Kotaro in this first semi.
Both of these games both of the semi-finals were exciting. I'll just quickly say. So I think Zhou Hongyu was ahead for most of the game, or at least up until like move 150.
Right.
And then as usual, I don't really know what she did wrong, but I think there was a ko.
Right. Yeah.
A ko on the left there, and then also the group in the middle, the white group in the middle. I think Katara was able to bully that around a little bit because it wasn't fully alive. Yeah.
Now I do remember a little bit about this game. Now apparently this move was a bad mistake by Zhou Hongyu. So basically, I guess the idea here is so that if black connects, she can just connect. It's just to protect this cut. But apparently the right move is actually one further, playing here. And the reason is because you notice this black group here. If white had played here, it's actually I believe just taking away the eye space for black. So both of them protect the cut, but apparently this is better. Something like that. But anyway, if I recall correctly, that's actually what happened. So Joe ended up, after Fukaro connects, Joe ended up having to play one extra move to try and kill this group. So this one move was huge in terms of what you get out of it. And also, I believe Kotaro just played this sequence here where he managed to escape.
Yeah,
which is quite crazy. So so it's good. It's good win for Koka Kotaro. It was really good.
Yeah, and that means it's a Japanese player in the final of the Globus Cup, and the only Japanese players to have made the final of the Globus Cup were the Three Crows.
Yeah.
Ryo Ichiriki, who actually won the very first Globus Cup.
Yep.
Su Shawan.
Yep.
He made the final of the first and third Globus Cup.
Yep.
I'm not sure if Shibano ever made the final.
I think Japan has only ever made 2 finals. That's from memory.
And, So this is the first time in 6 years.
Yep.
That a Japanese player has made the final. So very exciting.
Yeah. So I was really looking forward to that.
And then the other final was a rematch, the other semi-final, was a repeat of last year's final. Wang Jinghao versus Tu Xiaoyu.
Yep.
So I do recall, I think at the time of last year's final, Tu Xiaoyu was considered the stronger player. He was considered the favorite.
Right, yep.
And Wang Jinghao actually won.
Yeah.
And I have to say, in the 12 months since then, I've seen Wang Jinghao improve significantly.
Yeah.
Including beating Shin Jinseo in an unofficial tournament.
Correct. And it was a best of 3 as well. Yeah.
Hey?
It was him beating Shin Jinseo was in a best of 3 as well. And not a one game event, yeah.
Right. And whereas Tu Xiaoyu, I haven't heard much from him. I'm not going to say he's stagnated, but I definitely think Wang Jinghao has overtaken him.
Yeah.
And I considered Wang Jinghao to be the favorite of this semi-final matchup, and like I said, this semi-final was interesting as well.
Yeah.
Real back and forth battle, but Wang Jinghao prevailed.
Yep.
And won by, I think, 2.5 points. Yeah, 2.5 points.
Yeah. So I think these 2 players are definitely the most well regarded of the young crop coming out of China. And they are basically neck and neck in the Chinese ranking as well, which is I believe they are 30
mid-30s.
Yeah, 32 and 34, something like that. 31, 30.
Yeah, I have to say I'm a little bit surprised that Wang Jinghao was rated so low.
Right.
I consider him to be, I think very soon he'll be a top 20 player in China. Yeah. Before the end of the year. I think so.
Yeah. China needs to play more games. So.
Oh, that is true. China does need to have more games.
Yeah.
And I also find it just crazy. I think he's the best player in the world that's yet to play in a world major.
Right. Yeah.
That's not just under 20. Any player that hasn't participated in a world major, he's the best.
Right. Yeah.
Mind you, Tu Xiaoyu has actually played in a world major.
Right.
But even if he hadn't, I would still consider Wang Jinghao to be the best yet to play. And I do hope that once the Chuzhou Lanka Cup is started, that Wang Jinghao is in that one.
Yeah. God knows how they select players for now, but yeah, it'll be really good.
Yeah, but I do think that clearly it seems like, Korea have missed a step in terms of Minjun and Han Woo-jin getting stronger.
Yeah.
Based on their performance. I don't want to see China make the same mistake with Wang Jinghao.
No. Yeah.
And I do think that the best I would say that the best approach is to have him playing non-Chinese players as often as possible, and by non-Chinese players I mean really strong Japanese and Korean players.
Yep. Now if you could, China are taking some measures to help players like Wang. So if you recall, I think in the Chuzhou Lanka Cup, the participants were top 31 by rankings, and the top rated player not in the tournament that's under 18, and that happens to be Wang Xinghao. And that's how Wang got a place in the most recent Lanka Cup,
Yeah.
and he did pretty well.
Yes.
He beat Yang Ding
Very
Shin.
deserving. Very deserving spot.
Yeah, and I think Wang is just outside of the top 31 in China, so yeah, he could be. Now for reference, for quick reference, on Go rating, Wang Xinghao is rated 25th in the world. Tu Xiaoyu is 40.
That's not 25th in China. That's 25th in the world.
In the world, yeah, and that's Tu Xiaoyu is 49th in the world, so really really strong players. Yeah.
Yes.
And
so finally,
final.
Yeah. So the final round actually had two games. There was the third place playoff.
Yep.
So let's quickly mention that. Tu Xiaoyu won.
Yep.
He finished third. Zhou Hongyu finished fourth.
Yep.
And then the final, Kotaro Fukuoka versus Wang Xinghao.
Yep.
I don't think that the final was that exciting, to be honest.
Yeah, and I watched the final, and it just feels like Fukuoka, where he wants to start a fight, Wang just goes, no, I saw through this, I'll play elsewhere, and it's happened like a couple of times that I remember, and I think that just shows me that I believe Wang's just more experienced, just better skills, just better at controlling the game. So
yeah,
overall the stronger player for sure.
Yeah. So in conclusion, Wang Xinghao is the Globis Cup champion, which makes him a two-time Globis Cup champion.
Now, is he the first to win it twice?
Yes, he's the first to win it twice. And there have been many players that have won it once and then returned.
Yeah.
As an example, Minjun won it 2 years ago, and he returned last year and this year.
Yeah.
None of them were able to win it a second time.
Yeah.
Wang Xinghao is the first player to do that. So very impressive.
Yeah. And this is his facial expression after winning the game.
And as you can see, he's just absolutely thrilled to have won it.
Yeah.
I have to say, I love his facial expressions. He just doesn't seem to care. It's like he's not satisfied. And I respect that. I respect Wang Jinghao's lack of emotion. It's like it's like who knows what he's thinking. Maybe he just wants to play more Go, or he's thinking about a position in his head or something.
Yeah, but he's not.
Or he's just bored. He's just bored of these ceremonies. He doesn't like these ceremonies. I've got no idea.
Yeah.
But he does smile. I have seen him smile. I have seen photos and videos where he smiles.
Yeah. So yeah. And I think at some point I dug up the photo of him winning last year. It was similar facial expression.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna make a post of Wang Jinghao's facial expressions. It's very. I find it just really amusing.
Yeah.
But I have to say it was again another successful Globis Cup. The Globis Cup is always very exciting because of just how many games there are.
In a very compressed period, you know.
Yeah, very compressed. They play three games a day, and I think so. Tu Xiaoyu, he played 6 games on that weekend. 6 games in 2 days.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, congratulations to Wang Xinghao. So I think the 3 outstanding performers, in my opinion, the 3 outstanding performers were Wang Xinghao, of course, Fukuoka Kotaro, Japan's first finalist in 6 years, and of course Kevin Yang.
Yes.
Just an outstanding performance from all 3 of them.
Yep.
The 3 disappointments, I would say, are obviously Moon Minjun.
Yep.
Han Woo-jin.
Yep.
And who else? Probably either of the two Japanese players that lost to Kevin Yang.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not sure if there are any other majorly disappointing performances.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I would say, I know I'm being harsh here, but I would say that the European representative, Arvid Pittner,
Yeah,
neither of his games were very impressive.
yeah,
But that's probably been a bit harsh because obviously he was
yeah,
very outmatched.
yeah.
Um,
No, no,
but yeah,
yeah. Keep going.
Hopefully the Globus Cup is back next year. Hopefully sooner rather than later, it can be over the board.
Yep.
And also, I hope that they update their website.
Yeah. I don't know what's happening there, but
Yeah.
let's see. Okay, so that's a wrap for this year's Globus Cup. I'm really looking forward to the next one. A bit of trivia. I think the company, the president of the company who runs sponsors Globus Cup. No surprise there. I think the company might be called Globus. Uh, I think he says like he wishes to run this tournament for 20 years. After Ichiriki won it. So we are into next year will be the 10th edition. So I could be seeing at least 10 more. So
And just another thing,
yeah,
this is under 20s.
yeah,
Wang Xinghao will
eight,
be eligible next year.
yeah,
Fukuoka Kataru will be eligible next year, and
yeah,
Kevin Yang will be eligible next year.
yeah, yeah. So
Um, yeah,
so yeah, exciting. Hope to see some of the familiar faces return. With Wang, do a three-peat. That's things to watch.
yeah.
Right. So let's just move on to the what do we call this? The third
This
Korea's
is the so
strongest.
this yeah. So last week we talked about the beginning of the Korea's strongest final
Yep.
between challenger Shin Minjun and defending champion Shin Jinseo.
Yep.
They played it's a best of five,
Yep.
and they played the first two games last week, and we
Yep.
covered in the podcast that Shin Jinseo won both of those games.
Yep.
So on Monday was game three,
Yep.
which it's been a best of five. It was a must-win game for Shin Minjun.
Yep.
And
And
Shin Minjun did win this game.
yes, he won one of them. And I so anything else you want to say about this game in particular?
So the first, this was a very impressive game by Shin Minjun.
Right.
Um, yeah, he for the first time, it seemed like he really controlled the game.
Right.
Um, uh, yeah, he always just seemed to have, um, the edge on Shinjinso. There was some interesting stuff in the bottom right that happened around move 100 or just before move 100. I thought that was interesting. I think I'm not. Yeah, I wasn't sure which. I think the white stones ended up dying on the right. Those four stones
Yep.
on the bottom right. Um,
Ooh. Okay. Yep.
yeah, and
Yeah. I do recall it was such that when Shin Jin-so resigned, it was AI had suggested that Shin Jin-so still had a 10% chance according
I
to
think
AI.
I think when he resigned, this was again. This was the first two games ended up being very close at the end. This
Yeah.
game was also very close at the end. I think Black was only ahead by half a point.
Right.
Um, but it wasn't like that throughout the whole game. Black was ahead by, I think, as much as 10 points at some stage, according to AI. But by the very end, Black was. Yes, I do recall that in Yosei, Shin Minjun. I mean, Shin Jinso was basically gaining a point, like every 10 moves or something like that.
Yep.
But I mean, when it's pros and you're behind, every point to claw back is harder.
Yeah.
And so he was like behind by 3.5 points, and then 2.5, and then 1.5, and then finally he was behind by half a point, but he he couldn't find a way to get that half point.
Yep.
And yeah, at the end here, like when I run it on Car2Go, it says that like White still has like a 25% win rate.
Right.
But yeah, obviously Shin Jinseo has probably read out every sequence and has determined that there's just nothing there for White.
Yep. So basically Shin Minjun pull one back, and it's quite interesting how all three games ended up being like a Yosei game. So I wonder if it's like a deliberate strategy by Shin Minjun to try and do that. Maybe he thought that's his best chance of winning against Shin Jinseo.
Yeah, I wouldn't say. Yeah, this one was slightly different because, like I said, when it got to Yosei, Shin Minjun was ahead by, a few more points than this, and whereas in the other games, it was by the time it got to Yosei, it was like a half point or 1.5 point game.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas here, Shin Minjun was slightly more ahead, and I guess he maybe sacrificed a point here and there to sort of solidify the win.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure, but yeah, by the end, it was still like a half point game. So yeah, it was. I think these aren't the sort of games that Shin Jinseo usually plays.
Yep.
Or that I've usually seen him play.
Yep.
And yeah, that it probably was a tactic by Shin Minjun. Obviously, I don't really know. I haven't seen any of their interviews, and even if I had, I don't understand Korean.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't stop people from making up stuff that are kind of worthy of, Baduk shit posting. I think we should see some.
Yeah, but maybe I should try and get some find some of their interviews and see what they were talking about.
Yeah,
could be interesting.
Could be interesting, yeah.
But yeah, anyway.
Yep.
So game three ended up made it 2-1 to Shin Jinseo.
Yeah.
So then the fourth game was on the next day.
Just Gaza, let me just add in one little bit of trivia, which I think some people were confused about. Now, Shin Minjun won this game against Shin Jinseo, but the last time he won against Shin Jinseo, so before the game 3, before his win in game 3, was more than 1 year ago in the Korean Baduk League. So it took Shin Minjun 1 year to find one more win versus Shin Jinseo.
I'm curious though. How often do they actually play each other?
Now, according to games that have Kifu on Kifu Depot, their record is 21-7, something around there. So they play about almost 30 times now. That's just games with Kifu. So
okay, I just quickly checked. They did play in the Baduk League playoffs this year in April.
Yep.
And Shin Jinseo won that, and they also played in the Hanguk Kiwon tournament.
Yep.
In November last year, and Shin Jinseo won that as well.
Yep.
So yeah, they have played a few times since Shin Minjun's last win, which was in March last year. Yeah.
Yep. So and so in game 4 is Shin Minjun, because game 4 took place.
So Shin Minjun was the game 4. Sorry, was the next day on Tuesday.
Yep.
And once again, it was a must win for Shin Minjun.
Yep.
And in the end, Shin Jinseo won this game.
Yep.
So Shin Minjun couldn't. Yeah, he couldn't avoid defeat. But I have to say that this was a very interesting game. I'm going to go ahead and say, for me, this was the game of the week.
Right.
It seemed like Shin Jinseo didn't want to play in the Yosei style of the first 3 games.
Yep.
And just tried to play his own style.
Yep.
Now Shin Jinseo is black here.
Yep.
And yeah, I really like how so that move there that you see there.
Yep.
I think that was move 36.
Yep.
that was the first. I remember that was the first sort of mistake. I think that was the
Yeah,
first move that the AI didn't like. And just another thing I want to mention is that Michael Redmond
yeah,
live commentated this
yeah,
game,
yeah,
and yeah, if you want a better analysis of this game than
yeah,
me, I highly recommend you if you have the time to watch Michael Redmond's live stream
yeah,
of this game.
yeah.
Um,
100%.
yeah, he's obviously one of the best English speaking players in the world,
Yeah,
and yeah, it's always a really useful when he's commentating on these really strong games.
yeah. And
But yeah, what I noticed was that Shin Jinseo, a lot of the time in this game he would Tanuki.
yeah,
Um, so there's a fight in the bottom right corner which I think it ends up being good for black. As you can see,
yeah,
white white's group doesn't like it's got the corner, but it's very small, the bottom right corner.
yeah,
Whereas black has captured those three white stones at the bottom
yeah,
and also has a nice Moyo on the right.
yeah. Now I did run this game with Katako because I wanted to understand why does Katako think that this move is so bad, because it does look a little bit natural, just take the corner, make this white group safe. But apparently Katako was saying something like you should play here first, play over here first.
Play in the
Jump,
middle
yeah,
to help
jump,
those three
jump up,
stones.
yeah, help those stones, because notice this black group is actually not alive, and it's got a very remarkable way of ignoring the black's cut here. It's like, so if black cuts here, it's actually quite remarkable what Calico recommends. It recommends that you Atari from the bottom, Atari, and then when black captures, Atari again. Apparently the two white stones that ended up Ataring here can connect back to this group. Just yeah. So
Right.
I think the idea was to put more pressure on this black group playing, just jumping out here, because in the game, yeah. So this three stones are basically dead. Like,
Yeah, there's not much RG there
yeah,
either.
yeah. So basically, yeah. Cargo recommend jumping there first and then trying to create something before playing there. So anyway, so that was one part that I thought was very interesting, and there was, and you mentioned
Yeah,
this
and then look
Tanuki.
at that move
Yeah,
65 as well. It's just
look, yeah. Since just Tanuki, it ignored it.
yeah,
Yeah,
and then move 67, like
yeah,
he just shoulder hits that stone, and it's just like
yeah.
it's sort of, some of his moves are reminiscent of Go Seigen, I would say.
Right. That's really high praise. Just
I
very
mean,
fast.
yeah, Go Seigen, like I remember, like I've only gone through a few of his games, but he had a really unique style. He would like Tanuki a lot and just put his
Yeah,
stones everywhere. He would have influence everywhere.
yeah,
And that seemed to be what Shinjin So was doing a lot of this game. See, look, another Tanuki.
yeah,
He's trying to capture that Ponuki in the top
yeah,
right. Um, yeah, just and I think this game is a good argument for why analyzing just blindly with AI
yeah,
isn't always the best way of understanding a game,
yeah,
because every time Shinjin So Tanukis,
yeah,
Minjun has to think about the position because he's not expecting those moves.
yeah,
He has to think, why is Shinjin So Tanukiing? Is it a strong enough threat? Do I have to respond to it?
yeah,
Right? Because yeah, a lot of the time. So before move 96,
yeah,
right? Before move 96,
yeah,
you see those before move 96.
yeah,
Yeah, so you see those three black stones in
yeah,
the bottom that have been they've been in Atari for like 20 moves,
yeah,
and the AI says, I think for every time those stones have been in Atari, the AI recommended that that white just capture them.
yeah,
But Shin Min Jun has to has to know, like he has to think about all these tanukis that Shin Jinseo is playing, and
Yeah.
wondering if if he has to respond to them, and if he doesn't respond,
Yeah.
how complicated is the situation going to get for him?
Yeah.
And it's just not that easy, and he has to spend a lot of time thinking about that. So these moves, while they're not the best AI suggestions,
Yeah.
they've by Shin Jinso, they're very effective.
Yes.
And I think that was his plan,
Yeah.
and it worked out beautifully.
Yeah.
It worked out really, really well.
Yeah. It's yeah. I would have to agree with you. I mean, my favorite video series of Weiqi is basically the series done by Chang Hao for Weiqi TV. It was like he went through some of his famous games, and every time it explains, how he was feeling, why he made those moves that he made. It just reminds you that it's a human being that's playing, and it makes a huge difference when you look at the games in those contexts. It's like the move that they make. Obviously, it's not optimal according to AI, but there's actually a lot of emotions behind them. So yeah, I might have to talk about those that great series at some point. But
Yeah,
when I was watching the game, there was a few moves that kind of stood out to me. You know how Black played this really deep invasion here, like okay, not really
yeah,
deep, and I just thought moves like this by Shin Minjun, which is why it feels like he's making some defensive move here. When it's like wide open, it's so close to his stones. It feels like he wasn't really trying to win. It's almost how it felt like to me. It was just like his moves are just so slow. I
yeah.
think
I found it almost all the time when Shin Jinso would play like a
yeah,
Tanuki.
yeah,
Almost every time Shin Minjun responded to it. Not every move, but a lot of them.
yeah. And I also thought
Yeah,
that Shin Minjun giving up this group was a little bit odd because maybe he's got good reasons or deep reading behind it. But I just found it really odd that he lost that group.
which group?
This group here,
Oh,
just
the Panuki.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's just I've and I think later on Shinjin also played a really slow move. But yeah, but ended up I think this is a good game for Shinjin. So and I just remember uh just listening to a podcast, and the podcaster was really doesn't have a lot of kind words to say about Shin Min
yeah.
Jun
At,
in this
at
one.
this point, yeah, like at this point, Shin Minjun's group, a big group of Shin Minjun is actually dead, so he
Yeah,
resigned.
yeah. No, it was basically like it felt like you know, I mean, he just didn't. He just played some really like bad stuff. Like even though at the beginning when he made this move, like this move, it was obviously AI hated it, but I guess the podcast was right in that like this move had almost no chance of succeeding. Like, but Shimin Jun still played it. It just feels really odd. But anyway, that's game 4. So basically, Sinjin So finished the series 3-1. So he's Korea's
Yeah, so
strongest.
that means that he retains
Yeah,
the Korea's strongest. This is the third Korea's strongest edition, and Shin Jinso has won all three.
yeah.
In the
So
first two, he defeated Park Chun Hwan in the final,
yep,
and this time he defeated Shin Min Jun. Um, as we've mentioned before, this is the only Korean tournament where it operates on a title holder challenger system.
right.
So Shin Jinso will not be playing in the league next year because
Yeah,
he's the title holder.
yep,
So he'll play in the fourth edition. He'll be in the final and will be playing against whoever wins the league.
yep,
Shin Min Jun, obviously he lost, but because of his great performance in the league,
yep,
he will be participating in the league next year,
yep,
along with Byun Sang Il,
yep.
Park Jun Hwan, and Lee Chang Seok,
Lee Chang Sik, yep.
as well as 4 qualifiers that will be determined, I think, next year.
And
One wild card.
would there be a wild card? Yes, wild card. Yep,
Yeah, there'll be another wild card.
yep,
Obviously, no idea who the wild card is going to be. Things could change a lot
yep,
um, in that time.
Yeah.
But it was a good game 3 by Shin Minjun.
Yep.
But I think Shin Jinseo, you have to say that he was the deserving champion.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone in Korea is close to challenging Shin Jinseo for some time, I say.
No.
And
Also, just quickly, Shin Jinseo wins 70 million Korean won.
Yep.
Which I think is the biggest prize currently in Korea in the domestic competitions.
Right.
Well, the individual domestic competitions.
Yep.
Along with the GS Caltex Cup, that's also 70 million, I believe.
Yep.
And that's about 70,000 Australian dollars.
Yep.
Shin Minjun wins 20 million won as runner-up, so that's about 20,000 Australian dollars.
Yep.
And one other final thing, this is Shin Jinseo's 24th title in his career, domestic and international.
Yep.
So yeah, that's a fairly sizable number. I mean, he's only 22 and he's won 24 titles. So
Yeah. So it's and this is Shin Minjun collecting his prop check.
yeah,
That's them signing their name and the back of the gold band. They might be auctioned off or something.
yeah.
And this is where Shin Jinseo says to Shin Minjun,
Yeah, I don't know whether I think Shin Jinseo's saying, "Where's your tie?"
yeah, that could be it. That could well be it. And he got so offended, he took off his suit as well. All right, so there we go. That's Korea's strongest.
Yeah.
A great conclusion.
That's also Shin Jinseo's second title this year.
Right.
Obviously, he won the LG Cup. So
Yeah.
this is his second title.
Yep. Let's see if he wins the Samsung Cup. Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know when his next potential title could be.
Kuksu Mountain Cup coming up.
No, the Kuksu Mountain Cup isn't for a few months. There's the GS Caltex Cup. There's the Yongseong.
Yep.
I think both of those are into the final 16. I think for the Yongseong it could be the semi-finals actually.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah.
So we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Let's see. So from Korea's strongest, let's quickly go to Taiwan's strongest. I would say. I mean, not much to say there except Haohong. He retained his Shiduan by winning.
So Shiduan, is that one of Taiwan's major titles?
Yes, that's one of the 9 professional competitions in Taiwan. Shiduan is the same as Judan in Japanese. So yeah.
Okay, so this is a title holder challenger type tournament, and Haohong was the title holder.
Correct.
And who was the challenger?
Chen Qirui.
Right.
He's a very strong young player, and it's Haohong managed to hold on to the title by winning 3-1 in a best of 5. So.
This went the same way as the Korea's strongest. Haohong won games 1, 2, and 4.
Yeah, so that's pretty good. And,
okay, well done to Haohong.
Yeah, after retaining the title, he's on like I believe he's on 5 titles, and then he managed to he challenged successfully for the Tianyuan title, which is the same as Tengen in Japanese. He beat Wang Yuanjun to take the title. So I think Haohong might have held. I know he's definitely held 6 titles before. I can't remember if he's held more than 6 titles simultaneously.
So wait, now that he didn't hold the Chen before. That was Wang Yuanjun.
I can't remember if Haohong has won it before, but
I mean he didn't. He was the challenger this time.
Yeah, correct. He was challenger to Wang Yuanjun. Wang Yuanjun is, of course, we saw his performance in the recent LG Cup. Wang Yuanjun holds, I believe, 3 of the 9. Oh no, he might only hold 2.
I think
he holds 3.
He used to hold the Chen one.
Yeah.
But now it was a best of 7, and Haohong won 4-1.
Yeah.
So
So
now Zhu Haohong has 6 titles.
6 titles simultaneously out of the possible 9. So Wang is reduced to holding only 2,
And Lin Junyan has
Engineer
1.
holds 1. Yep, and of course, Wang Yuanjun beat Xiaohong to make the LG Cup. So I mean, it's
Right.
Wang is
But
very
yeah,
strong player.
that's big news. So Zhu Haohong won 2 titles in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
2 major titles.
yeah. So that's and he's
Okay, that's big news.
yeah,
Well
and
done to him.
yep. And I think I did some research. I think Xu might be the strongest player born in the year 2001 worldwide. So definitely very, very strong player. Great performance.
Born in that calendar year.
Born in the calendar year, yes. Yeah. So that's, I mean, I did watch a couple of the videos, but I can't recall too much of the game, so I won't be able to tell you anything about the games. But
No, I didn't watch these games.
Yeah.
I will say.
but some of them are live streamed on the
Yes, yeah, they definitely have the keepers are definitely available.
yeah. So okay, so moving on.
Do we know when are there any other majors that are taking place in Taiwan at the moment, or is there a bit of a break?
I really have to check the Taiwanese calendar, but I really can't recall. I thought those were the only 2. Let me quickly check what's happening. While I'm checking, yeah, no, I really can't think of anything that's
No,
still going.
yeah.
Yeah,
If it's not in the calendar, then
yeah.
yeah.
They have a couple of tournaments ongoing, but it's not in the title stage, challenges stage yet.
Yeah, well, okay, then never mind then.
So moving on from Taiwan's strongest to perhaps the world's strongest women player, Choi Jeong. What's happened to her?
We're going back to Korea.
Going back to Korea. Yeah.
Now, Choi Jeong is, I did want to talk about Choi Jeong this podcast because she's had a couple of very interesting performances.
Yes.
So the first performance I want to talk about is in the Korean Women's League.
Yep.
Now, I just want to preface this by saying that we haven't mentioned this before, but the Korean Women's League has started.
Yep.
So that's quite a notable thing. We just didn't have time to talk about the last couple of weeks because of all of the international games. But the Korean Women's League, it's a very exciting league. It's for many of the Korean women, it's really their best opportunity to play multiple games.
Yeah.
Because in a lot of the tournaments in the prelims are single elimination.
Yeah.
So once you lose one game, you're out of the tournament. Whereas in the Korean League, as long as you're drafted by a team, you can play every week.
Yeah.
And Choi Jeong's team was the same. They kept the same team from last season, which was runner up.
Yeah.
And last season, Choi Jeong won every game. I think that amounted to, was it 17 games or something like that? 17 wins?
Yep.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
And she won every single game. The team still only finished runner-up, which meant that her teammates lost a lot.
Yeah.
But it was expected that this year she would win every single game again because she's clearly the number one women player in Korea.
Yeah.
And in the very first round, she lost.
Yeah. And I believe she said in an interviews that she doesn't want to lose any game this year, which
actually, yes. Well, I mean, obviously she doesn't want to lose any games.
Yeah.
But I think, I checked an article, and there was an article I found that said that Choi Jeong in the Korean Women's League, she'd won her last 25 games.
Yeah.
So that was across two seasons.
Right.
She'd won her last 25 games, and so this was her first loss.
Yeah.
Her last loss was in August 2020.
Right.
In the Korean Women's League.
Yeah.
And this time she actually, what was even more interesting is that, so she was playing Kim Chi-young's team. I can't remember the name of it. Choi Jeong's team, I think, is called Boryong Mud or
Yep.
something like that. Boryong Mud.
Yep.
And I think Kim Chi-young's team is Samchok Marine Cable Car.
Yep.
But what was interesting is that so in each match,
Yep.
it's 3 boards. Each team has 4 players and 3 are selected.
Yep.
So they're typically considered as player number 1, player number 2, player number 3, and the reserve.
Yep.
But they don't. It's not always player number 1 on board 1, player number 2 on board 2, and player number 3 on board 3.
Yeah.
The teams will make their own decisions which player goes on which board.
Yeah.
So you don't really know who you're going to be paired up against. And Choi Jeong ended up getting paired up against the reserve player.
Yep.
It's Samchok Marine Cable Car.
Yep.
So Cho Hee-yeon, who didn't end up playing that round, so they got their reserve, Kim Soojin, to play on, I think it was board 3.
Yep.
And that so happened to be the same board that Choi Jeong was playing on.
Yep.
So, so it was Choi Jeong versus Kim Soojin, who I think is like maybe the 30th, number 30 in the Korean women's rankings or something like that.
Right.
So it was definitely expected to be just a dominant Choi Jeong win.
Yep.
And it just, not only was it not a dominant performance by Choi Jeong, she lost.
Yeah.
And very surprising. It was a very interesting game. It ended up being, I'll just quickly check. It ended up being, I think it was 374 moves.
Yep.
Which I'll just quickly check. 376 moves. It was 376 moves, and that's so happens to be the longest game of Choi Jeong's career.
Oh wow, that's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, and she didn't win. She lost.
Yeah, and I mean there is a lightning recap of the game on Pro Weiqi, but I also do want to show it here because it's so remarkable, the position.
Yeah, so this is very deep into the end game.
Yeah. So I believe according to AI, so Choi Jeong, which is white, is already losing. You notice that this some white stones he is dead. So the opponent, which I believe is Kim Soojin. So Kim Soojin just played this push. So white blocks, and then the fatal mistake comes in here. So apparently this is a fatal mistake.
Yeah. So this is a game losing mistake, and why is that?
Yeah. Why is that? It's because look at this white group here. It's supposed to be dead, right? But after black tightened its liberties, white can just come here. Take. Obviously, black cannot let white connect, right? Because otherwise, this black group will die. So it has to play here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So white can Atari here, and black has no time to connect because white can just capture this group now. Look, this is crazy, right? So therefore, black cannot connect and can only fight the curve. So this is so Choi Jeong could have gotten nothing, or could have gotten something like something huge from nothing, like got a curve out of nothing, right? But did Choi Jeong see this?
No, Choi Jeong didn't see it.
No, Choi Jeong didn't see it.
But then what did black play after that? No, what did black play after that?
Black also didn't see it. Played here.
Yep. But then white could have done the same thing.
Exactly. So white still played here.
So white had Choi Jeong had 2 bites of the cherry here.
Yeah, and then black finally realized, hey, something's wrong here. No, let's connect. So black connected,
and from that point on, Choi Jeong had no chance.
Yeah. So this is the AI win rate graph. You see this wild swing over here? That's what happened. So unfortunately for Choi Jeong, this is not obviously not her best performance by any stretch of the imagination.
So people may be wondering, how could Choi Jeong miss that? She's the best women's player in the world. She's top 25 in Korea.
Yeah.
Top 100 in the world, absolutely.
Yeah.
How could she miss something so simple? And the answer is, this is my answer. So they've already played 250 moves.
Yeah.
The time controls for this game is 0 main time, 10 40-second Byoyomis.
Right.
So it's actually a very fast game, and by this stage, both of them were in their final Byoyomi.
Yeah.
So the simple answer is she didn't see that in her 40 seconds.
Yeah.
I think she just never realized that she'd ended up reducing the liberties of that black group on the right
Yeah.
enough
Yeah.
to to complicate things with that group in the middle.
Yeah.
I think it just must have never occurred to her.
No. So.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think I'm guessing like what was going through her mind is like, how can I gain 1 point here and there?
Yeah. Right.
There's really not, yeah, you really don't have much time to think in 40 seconds, especially if you're thinking from scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's just my guess. I really don't know, but
Yeah.
um
Yeah. So,
yeah, I think the commentators definitely picked up on it live
Yeah.
during the game,
Yeah.
and yeah, that was her chance. But yeah, she, like you said, she was behind before then, so she did make some
Yeah.
poor moves um, before then. And if Kim Soo-jin hadn't given her that chance, then it would have just come off as
Yeah.
an even worse performance by Choi Jeong, I guess.
Yeah.
I really don't know, but like, yeah, she ended up losing by half a point.
Right.
Yeah, there were obviously, since there were 376 moves, there were a lot of very long co-fights.
Yeah.
So a very complicated game, but I think Choi Jong would have expected to just steamroll Kim Soo Jin, to be honest, not have a close game like this that she could have even had a chance of losing.
Yeah. Yeah. Man.
So yeah, very uncharacteristic, and not only that, but um, since the third game, I think they always start the third game later than the first two games. They always start the third game after maybe an hour or 2 hours after the first two games start.
Yeah.
So by the time they were getting to before the other two games had finished before this game, and so they already knew the results of the first two games, and it was split one game apiece.
Right.
So the result of this game determined who won the match. So not only did Choi Jong lose, but that loss cost her team the match victory.
Oh wow, that's crazy. Yeah.
So yeah, and obviously that never happened. Well, she never cost her team the match victory last year. I mean last season, because she won every game, and a lot of the time she would win her game,
Yeah.
only for her two teammates to lose.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they would lose the match.
Yeah.
Whereas this time it was her that cost her team the match.
Yeah.
So, very uncharacteristic and quite surprising.
Yeah. I was very surprised, and then we'll see. There's another one coming. But of course.
But before we go on to that other one, do you have that post about the start of the women's league with those interviews?
And maybe I don't remember, but yeah, if we can find it,
Yeah, I'll look for it and I'll send you a link.
Yeah.
And then we'll segue to it later.
Yeah, segue to it later. But let's look at the latest Korean rankings, which are published every month.
Oh yeah, this is also worth talking about. So the Korean rankings are usually published around the 4th or 5th day of the month.
Yeah.
And they take into account the previous month's results. So the May results.
Yeah. Of course, I think maybe it's incorrect here. It says Choi Jeong's 20, but she's actually equal 21st. With
That's correct.
And I guess we didn't mention this, but Soojin was in the top 10, but after a horrendous May, he's now like a 14 or something. Which
he's 14th. He won 0 games in May, and he played a lot of games.
Yeah, he played like 11 games or something. Like it was crazy. But Choi Jeong like really strong, like 20 basically. Like she I think she has entered the top 20 before in Korea.
I think her highest has been 16th, maybe 15th.
Yeah, something like 17 or something. One of them.
Yes.
Yeah, so she's extremely strong. Like definitely the best women player in Korea, and then she makes that kind of performance in the first game.
But
of the league.
another notable thing
Yeah.
About the rankings, the top 100 rankings, is that there are actually now 4 women in the top 100.
Yeah, that's
So
crazy.
if you go back to the rankings,
Yeah.
we've got Choi Jeong at 21.
Yeah.
Yujin has been in the rankings for a while now. She's 88.
Yep.
Kim Young
Yep.
has been in and out of the top 100
Yep.
for a while.
Yep.
She's there at 94.
Yep.
But the big story is Kim Yoon-ji.
Yep.
She's at 93. So she's in the top 100 for the first time.
Yep.
And she's actually now number 3 among Korean women.
Yeah. So yeah, which is crazy. So and she's still very young. So more to come from her. Just a little bit of a sidetrack thing. Look, Moon and Han Woo-jin in the Globis Cup, they're actually around the 40 mark in Korea.
Yeah, no, and what's interesting is they actually, I think this is both their first time. This is their first month in the top 50.
Right.
So the Korean rankings actually suggest that they're at their best form.
Right.
That they're currently at their strongest.
Yeah.
But the Globus Cup certainly suggested otherwise.
Yeah. Wow.
Although the Globus Cup wasn't part of the rankings because the Globus Cup was in June.
Right. Yep. Okay.
Whereas these rankings are only up to the end of May.
Yep.
So yeah, that will obviously change the rankings, but
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
interesting to see them in the top, both in the top 50. I hope that they can keep improving the rankings, but yeah, I'm just not sure.
Yeah, of course, this is Choi Jeong's team. This Mundo one. That's
so this
coach.
is the post I was
yeah
talking about with the Korean Women's League.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So that's the interview.
Yeah. So I wanted to mention a couple of these things.
Yeah.
So Oh Jong-ah, she says she's very happy to be able to return to the Women's Baduk League. So she didn't compete. She didn't participate last year because she was pregnant.
Yep.
Kim Yoon-ji, she said. So she's mentioning the fact that the cheating scandal that she was involved in 2020.
Yep.
Where she was suspended for a year.
Yep.
And we've mentioned that before. I do want to say, considering her performances since her return from suspension, I think that just goes to show just how disappointing it was that she did get suspended, because it's just a lot of that's a year of wasted growth.
Yeah.
But anyway, Yujin, she said she personally wants to get good results, but she wants the team to win. I found that interesting because I do recall last year she obviously performed very well, but her teammates weren't very good.
Yeah.
I just want to quickly try and find what the teams were. Okay. So last year.
Yeah.
Her team was... Who did she have on her team? Damn, I can't... I'll find it.
Yeah.
Okay. So she's this team, and she had Park Tae-han and Jang Hee Ryong. Park Tae-hee and Jang Hee Ryong. And I don't really know who they are. Like, I know Park Tae-hee a little bit.
Yep.
But they're just not that good players.
Yep.
Like, and her team didn't do very well. I don't even know if they made the playoffs last year.
Right.
But the thing is, Yujin was winning so many games.
Yeah.
And the funny thing was, I looked at her team this year.
Yeah.
And I think it's I don't think it's very good either. She's got Park Tae-hee again, but now instead of as bored as the second player, she's now the reserve.
Right.
She's got Lee Young-ju and Lee Do-hyun. And I remember Lee Do-hyun didn't do very well. She was one of the least successful players in the women's league last year.
Right.
And Lee Young-ju, I don't know much about. And I just thought, when Yujin says, I personally want to get good results, I'm thinking, is that because you know that your teammates are really aren't that good?
Yeah.
But I have to say, since I thought that, and since this interview, they've shocked me. They've actually won. They won their first match.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they won their second match as well. They definitely won. No, they won their first match. So they're outperforming what I expected.
Yeah.
So I will say that much.
Yeah.
Choi Jeong, there's only one goal, and that's to win the league. And I must say that they've made a good start. They've won their first three. They've won their first three matches.
Yep.
And Hyo Se-hyun wants to win 10 games.
Yeah.
That's a tough ask.
Yeah. All right. She did make the take the Hoban Cup team though.
She did make the Hobart Cup team, but she didn't win a game.
Now, this one actually the most interesting to me. How Yujin just completely jinxed Choi Jeong. Yeah. I believe she did say something like so Choi Jeong got the multi-win award, which is I believe it's just it's just the most wins. Right.
Yes, in both the Baduk League and the Women's League, you get an award for getting the most wins, which is it's different from the MVP award.
Yeah. So he says he won the most wins award with a perfect record, right? So I don't think you can lose a set to win this. So basically,
Yujin is saying that you may have to win every game to get the multi-win award.
Yeah. Well, which isn't true anymore. So yeah, let's see. That's assuming Choi Jeong wins the award, but. Let's see.
I don't think anyone will have a perfect record this year. Although it will be hard because, like I said before, you don't know who you're going to be up against.
Right.
You can't. You don't get to decide who you play. You only get to decide which board you play on.
Yeah.
So it's entirely possible that someone like Yujin could go the whole season without playing against Choi Jeong.
Right.
And she could then win all of her games simply by. Well, with obviously strong performance and a little bit of good fortune.
Yeah, by getting matched with weaker players.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. But the story for Choi Jeong isn't really finished this week. Because
there was another competition.
Yeah.
Where Choi Jeong lost.
Yeah.
And this is the IBK Bank Cup.
Yes.
And this is a relatively new competition. It was initiated last year.
Yep.
And it's a women's only tournament.
Yep.
And it is it's a 16-player finals setup. There's obviously prelims.
Yep.
But the finals have 16 players, and it is knockout, single elimination until the final, which is best of 3.
Yep.
And last year, Choi Jeong made the final against Oh Jong-ah.
Yep.
Who was pregnant at the time, and Choi Jeong won 2-0.
Yep.
And so this time, Choi Jeong she didn't have to qualify. She was seeded directly into the final 16. And her first game was her first match roundup was against Jong Yujin.
Yep.
Who, Jong Yujin is a 2-dan, a very, very young player. I think she's only 16.
Right.
Decent, but not outstanding player.
Yep.
Yeah, she's 16, and Choi Jeong lost.
Yeah.
So Choi Jeong got eliminated. So in trying to defend her title, she got eliminated in the first round.
Yeah. And I do believe Choi Jeong also said something like, "I will not lose any game in this tournament."
So that means So it is possible to. The only way you can win this tournament while still losing a game is in the final. Is in the
Correct.
final. You can win the final 2-1.
Yeah.
So Choi Jeong was saying that not only would she win the tournament, but she'd win the final 2-0.
Yeah. 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 So
And she didn't even win a single game.
no. So this is very very remarkable. Now again, I listened to the podcast that talked about Choi Jeong's performance in this game, and the opinion of the podcaster was that Choi just played this game, assuming that she's the superior player by a big margin, and she just played in such a way that it's almost like very arrogant, like how she cut this off. And I want to show you this black move here, which I think is a very remarkable move. So black is the what's her name again?
Jong Yujin.
John Yujin, yeah, and white is Choi Jeong. So like this black move is so remarkable because obviously playing like this is empty triangle. Also, this move in and of itself doesn't like have any points to it, but the whole idea of this black move is just to destroy white's eyes. Basically, just saying to Choi Jeong, your group is not alive.
Right.
This is a very very remarkable move, and also I think as the game progressed, that move there ended up helping, preventing these two white stones from escaping as well. Look at this move. So white cannot easily escape these two stones anymore, if she can at all. Like so, and this white group ended up being threatened, later on in the game. And you see how Choi Jeong just cuts off the other player, play like this, but she ended up having to like connect her group from like below. Oh, by the way, this is a huge mistake by Choi. So yeah,
Right.
it's not obvious why white would play here, because the normal move is connect. It's not obvious why, because it seems obvious that black can just play here next. That seems obvious. That this white move doesn't work at all, because now black's got Atari here or can come through. So it's a bit strange. But yeah, but you never know. Maybe so basically this whole group, Choi Jeong initiated the cut off black, but she ended up having to just connect herself, like just under, and she didn't fully connect. Look, she got cut off by black, and later on black made use of that as well. So ultimately, look, in this whole group is now truly not alive yet, So they still have to fight a co, and later on, you see, she tried to get connected, but this black group can still disconnect her, and so yeah, it ended up being not such a great performance by Choi, and yeah, so just really wasn't Choi's day. So she's it's extremely rare for her to lose 2 games in a row in the span of 11 days to 2 women players. They're not necessarily that famous. So yeah.
No, yeah, especially to two women players like this. Like Jong Yujin she's like number 28
Yeah.
among Korean women players,
Yeah.
and Kim Soojin is similar.
Yeah.
So like if she loses 2 games in quick succession to someone like Yujin,
Yeah.
I mean it's obviously disappointing for her, but it's not a shock,
Yeah.
right? That can definitely happen.
Yeah.
Even losing to someone like Yujin, I remember she lost to Yujin in 2 finals.
Yep.
Late last year, I think.
Right. Yep.
And even that was a little bit surprising.
Yes. Yes.
And that wasn't like that was like they were that was maybe 2 or 3 weeks apart.
Yeah.
This is losing to 2 players outside the top 20 women.
Yeah.
In like a span of a week.
Yeah. It's crazy. And of course, I'm not sure if it's going to be like a pattern of things to come for Choi, but of course she did exit the Senko Cup in the first round as well.
Yeah, she exited the Senko Cup in the first round, losing to Ji Yimin.
Yeah. Which and I would imagine at this point Ji Yimin would be, if she did play in Korea, would be in the top 20,
Jimin would be in the top 20 for sure.
Right. Yeah.
In Korea. Yeah.
Yeah.
She'd probably be in the top 10. I would probably put her in
Right.
the top 10. I'd say she's maybe Lee Minjun
Right.
strength.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just really surprising, and hope maybe a wake up call for Choi Jeong.
Yeah.
I do know. I have heard that she's she's a very active student of the game.
Right.
She doesn't sound like the type of person to sort of slack off like
No.
we've heard maybe Ko Jae do on
Right.
occasion.
Yeah. No.
She apparently according to Ko Jae, I think Ko Jae once mentioned that she was perhaps the most active player he's seen on Fox.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure, but
Yeah.
yeah, she doesn't sound like the person to rest on her laurels.
No.
So she's just in a little bit of a slump, I would guess, and
Yeah.
hopefully she gets out of it by the time the Hobart Cup
Final gets
um,
around. Yeah.
second stage comes
Yeah.
around. Yeah, because she's probably going to have to play for Korea.
Yeah. Chances are she will have to make an appearance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she's almost certainly going to be the last player, so
Yeah.
she'll have to. She can't afford to lose a game
Yeah. No. Not.
if
Not.
Korea wants to win the Hobart Cup. So
Yeah.
yeah, I expect her to get back into form and to win a lot of games. I mean, she did win her second round game,
Yep.
her second match in the women's league,
Yep.
and breaking news.
Yep.
Her third round match in the women's league ended about half an hour ago, and
Yep.
Choi Jeong won that as well.
Yep. Yep. So, yeah. So that's great news.
But now that she's out of the IBK Cup, that
Yep.
would make Yujin the favorite.
Yep. And I would have thought that Kim Eun-ji would be, but I'm not
Well,
sure.
Yujin is well, at the very least, Yujin is the highest ranked
Right.
women's player
Yep.
remaining in the IBK Cup.
Yep.
But how did she do in her first round?
Well, let's have a look. It turns out that Yujin also lost in the first round. This time
Oh
to
wow!
Park Taehee. I think we have heard this name before just then.
Yep. So yeah, Park Taehee is like I mentioned one of Yujin's. Oh, that's strange because Park Taehee is in Yujin's team in the
Yeah.
women's league.
Yeah. Of course, there's a massive difference in ratings. I don't know how
Yeah,
underrated
no,
Park is.
Park Taehee isn't. I don't know where she's ranked in Korean women's rankings, but I wouldn't be surprised if she was outside the top 30.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And what's even more interesting is that you know how I just mentioned that Choi Jeong won her third round women's league game about 30 minutes ago.
Yep.
It was against Park Taehee.
Oh wow.
So Park Taehee had a chance to beat the top two. She could have possibly beaten the top two Korean women in 2 consecutive days.
Yeah. But it just didn't
But no,
happen.
she didn't beat Choi Jeong
No.
today, but
Yeah.
she did beat Yujin yesterday in the IBK Cup.
Yeah. So this
So
is crazy.
So
stuff.
that's crazy. The top two women are out in the first round. I'm not even sure if Yujin had to qualify. I'll just quickly check
Yep.
if she got a direct seeding as well.
Yep. Well, then now it's quite remarkable because now Kim Eun-ji being third in the women's ranking is now favorite.
Yeah. So Kim Yoo-ji is now the highest rated woman left in the IBK Cup, and I just confirmed that Yujin didn't qualify. She was selected directly as a seed.
Yep.
So that means that Choi Jeong and Yujin combined in this year's IBK Cup won 0 games.
Oh wow, that's a bit unexpected. Oh wow.
Yeah, no, very unexpected. That would be like Shin Jinseo and Ko Jae being eliminated in the first round of the Samsung Cup.
Yeah. And I think that some of these things, it's sometimes just half true because Choi Jae has been eliminated in 2 tournaments in the first round recently. It's very strange. It's almost like the Senko Cup all over again because you got Yujin and Choi Jeong being eliminated. really early on. So crazy stuff.
Well, and what's even more interesting, the two, both of the finalists in the first IBK Cup, Choi Jeong and Oh Jong Ah,
Yeah.
directly got direct seeds into into this year's IBK Cup, and we already said that Choi Jeong lost in the first round.
Yeah.
Oh Jong Ah also lost in the first round.
Yeah. So crazy stuff.
And Kim Yoon Ji. So there were Oh Yujin and Kim Yoon Ji were both ranking seeds or sponsor seeds or something like that. And Kim Yoon Ji was the only seed
Yep.
to win her first round game.
Oh wow, that's really crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, unbelievable. All right, so that wraps up our Choi Jeong story for the week and the IPK Cup. What's happened? Is there anything else you want to cover in today?
I think we should cover this post that you're going over now because I saw some comments asking when you were going to give the answers to this post, which was random pics of famous women players.
Yep.
So let's go through these, shall we?
Let's go through these. That's assuming I can remember their names.
Well, this first one's obvious. This one's Hey Jaja.
Yeah, Joanne Missingham. So
also known as Joanne Missingham. Yeah.
I believe she's now she started a company in Taiwan that teaches Go. I believe. Then that's her app, and that she's advertising. So I'm yet to try it out, but I believe it's only in Chinese. So
that would make sense.
Yeah, but I would imagine she she would be able to release one in English, but maybe just the market isn't big enough. So this is Hyo Seo-hun. That's
Hyo Seo-hun.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she made the Hoiban Cup, and of course she featured a little bit in this podcast just then. And that's Yujin of Taiwan from Taiwan.
So we've mentioned her before because it was her birthday once.
Yeah, and she's a very strong player. Might be
from Taiwan.
Might be number one in Taiwan a couple of years ago.
I think so. Yes.
Of course, this is Choi Jeong.
This is the number one in Korea and arguably the world. Choi Jeong.
Choi Jeong. This is Fujisawa Arena.
Yeah, the number one player in Japan.
Yep, she holds 4 women's titles, I believe, and she also won an open tournament, I believe.
She won it was a youth tournament.
Right. A youth tournament. Okay, yeah.
But it did have it wasn't women only. It was a youth tournament.
Yep, a mix. All right. Of course, this is Nakamura Sumire. She of course looks different now. She might be 10 when this picture was taken.
And there's something else that I was recently posted about Nakamura Sumire, which we'll get to later.
Yeah, we'll get to. This is Ueno Asami. That might be her new profile pic on.
No, that's her old profile pic.
Old one, right.
I'm pretty sure that's her old one.
Right.
And you know, Asami, you know how Fujisawa Arena won a mixed tournament? Yeah. Well, Asami won it the next year.
Oh wow! Yeah.
So she won the same tournament, and she's also the reigning Senko Cup champion, the international Senko Cup champion.
That's the international women's tournament. Yeah. I really have to struggle to remember her name, but I believe her name starts with it's Mao, same as Mao Zedong. She was once a very famous female player in China.
Was she a strong player?
I don't think she's that notable in terms of her playing record, but I think when she was active, I wasn't really following the Weiqi scene.
So okay, so she's more of an older
player. So this picture might have been from 20 years ago. I forgot her name. In Japanese, but I believe she's a very famous Japanese player.
Is that now Manami or something like that?
She's married to Ida Atsushi. So I
think it's now Manami.
Right. I wonder if so her name is supposed to be Manami. So yeah, that's her name. I know that she's married to Ida Asushi, a strong player from Japan.
She herself is a strong player.
Yeah,
I know that.
she might have been she might have held some women's titles before.
I think she may have.
Yeah, I can't remember, but let's look at her profile. She has. Yes, so that's her name in Japanese. Yeah, and I didn't have that, but yeah, she might have one, but I can't really remember. But I just remember her being fairly notable in her days. So let's keep going. Again, oh no, what's
But
happening?
I've been cutting.
What are you doing?
I'm not sure. I'm just trying to go back to it. I think I just misclicked. It's a little
Okay,
bit.
maybe we could do some podcast editing then.
Nah.
Let's go on to, I think you're up to image 10.
Yeah, so that would be. I also don't remember her name, but I believe she might have been the current, or maybe just the before. Might be maybe like the president of the Macau Weiqi Association, maybe.
Macau?
Yeah.
So she's not a pro then?
No, she's an amateur. I think she's amateur 5 dan. But she represents Macau. She might be one of the strongest players in
I
Macau.
thought this was Pro Weiqi podcast.
Oh wow! Sometimes we throw people off with this kind of things.
Okay, now this is Kim Yo Won.
Yeah.
She's not actually a player. Well, I mean, she's not a pro player. She's a caster. She's one of the people that hosts Baduk TV.
Right.
So if you go to the Baduk TV YouTube channel,
Yeah.
when they have games, they'll have a caster
Yeah.
and a commentator, and the caster will usually be a woman.
Right.
And sometimes it's a current pro, but
Right.
sometimes it's not.
Right.
And the commentator will usually be a pro.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a man, sometimes it's a woman. If it's a women's only tournament, the commentator will often be a woman as well.
Right. Right.
But Kim Yo Won is a caster, and she's not a pro. So,
Right.
so I don't think anyone was going to get that one.
No. Okay.
But if you do watch some Baduk TV videos, you might see her as the caster. Yeah.
Is she still doing Baduk TV?
I don't know. It's hard because there's like 9 or 10 different casters, so
Right. Right.
they're different.
Yeah. So I also forgot her name, but I believe
Is this the Hikaru no Go woman?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
So this is Yoshiharu Yukari.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's her name.
That's a very old picture of her.
Yes. Yes. I think she was very notable in her day, and of course she was
Oh, she's a very strong player. She won the women's Kisei 3 times.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Very very strong player. Obviously, she also supervised the. She advised Hikaru no Go comic manga. So yeah, very strong player and
Very strong. Now that's obviously Gao Xing.
Yeah, Gao Xing. Now apparently she's notable for her play style, which is apparently extremely aggressive. I haven't seen many of her
I haven't seen any of her games, but all I know about her is that she's Chinese and she's actually married to a Chinese Weiqi player.
Right. Who might that be?
I don't know what his name is.
All right. No worries. Don't worry about that one. Yeah. So this is
he's not famous. He's not famous. I'll say that much.
Okay. And this is this is Chen Ying. I believe she's 1 dan, and she's remained 1 dan. For the and basically she never progressed to 2 dan. She frequently acts as one half of the commentating team on TV in China.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Gao Xing's husband is Yang Yi, which I believe is a very strong player.
Yeah. I just I found that out as well. Yeah.
Now this is I believe Wang Xiangyu. Now she's I believe she also remained 1 dan, never progressed to 2 dan professional, and she's actually notable, but not because of her per se, but because of the stories surrounding her. Now you know how He Jiajia or Joanne Missingham actually did make pro in China.
Yes.
So when He Jiajia made pro back then, I believe the Chinese pro system only admitted, I believe, 2 women, right? So He Jiajia came second. Wang Xiangyuhe came third. So they made a special decision to make Wang a pro as well because He Jiajia was not of Chinese citizenship. So,
Yeah, she was. Hey Jaja was Taiwanese.
yeah, or might have been Australian, but anyway. So yeah, so she as a special permission, a special decision, she got made pro because they wanted to have 2 Chinese nationals being in the being made pro every year. So and the other thing is, she's actually the student of Chen, which is the first gen of
Oh, yeah. He's
first
he's
gen.
the OG Chinese
Yeah,
pro.
yeah. You say that. I think although Chen is very notable because he's the first Chinese like professional player to win against the Japanese 9-dan. So I mean, back in the 60s, in Japan was so much ahead of China in terms of the
Yeah,
weight.
he was like the pioneer of Chinese professional Weiqi, even before Ni Weiping.
Yes, yes. He would way outrank Ni Weiping. He's the first, I believe, chairman of the Chinese Chinese Qiyuan. So Qiyuan looks after a lot of things like your Weiqi, your Shangqi, and international checkers,
Yeah,
and all of that stuff. He's the head. He's the first one, I believe.
yeah.
He's very famous. He also Chen is very notable because his autobiography actually won a literary award in China, like a proper literary award, not just for Go books, but like a proper award for all books.
Right.
Very notable, of course, very very strong player. So she's his student, and she's also did a TV series where she went through ancient Chinese games, which was Chen's passion in his last few years. He just and she just helped present those on TV, and she's also married to one of the strongest amateur players in China, Hu Yuqing 7-dan, which should be 0.8-dan now because China relaxed their amateur ranking system. Yeah, so she's notable for all the things not about her, which is that's all I'm gonna say. And this
Okay.
is Zhang Ying. She's also a very notable Chinese player. I believe she's 2-dan at the moment. She's very notable because she streams regularly every Tuesday, and she's basically the main broadcaster for the City Weiqi League, which is I believe a city-based Weiqi competition where you have like 5 players and they would take turn to play one game.
Oh, she's that chick that you keep sending me videos of.
Right. No, I don't think
Is,
so.
wasn't there one where she dressed up in cosplay or
Yeah,
something?
yeah, she did. Actually, I did out of curiosity watch one live stream of hers, right? Okay, during the live stream, she went through some games. She went through this week's pro game. She went through some interesting moves, and then at one section of the live stream, which was actually very interesting, probably for people my age because we almost never watch live stream. She brought out one of her photoshopped pictures, right? The picture was clearly photoshopped versions of her, and she started basically auctioning it off during the live stream. So the way to auction to get a chance to get like her photograph was to buy one of the tokens, and you have to spend the tokens, and if the more token you spend, the more chance you have of winning. So basically, yeah, she was getting people to just do that, and people were just buying tokens, and the guy who won who end up getting her photograph. So that's actually really interesting. So she does that every Tuesday to promote Go. I am watching her series, which she's doing on the top 10 moves of 2021. So hopefully that will make an appearance in the Pro Weiqi at some point. But yeah,
Oh, I wonder if she does a bottom 10 moves.
uh, let's hope so. I think, I mean, someone did do a 10 worst moves of the year or 2021 or something. But let's see. So yeah, she's notable for that. And lastly, I believe her name is Yang Zi. She's also I think she might have been just 2-dan, and she also a frequent presenter on Chinese Weiqi TV. So So that's it. That's all. That's all that there is. And you wanted to mention this post.
Yes. So
Sumire at the top.
Nakamura Sumire
Yeah.
has just reached 100 wins as a professional in her career,
Yep.
and she is the youngest in Japan to do it.
Right.
Now, I'm not sure if she's the youngest in the world to do it ever.
Right.
I would say that there's a high chance that she is because she's only 13 years, 3 months old.
Right.
But these comparisons are for Japanese players only, which I guess, it's hard to get records for Chinese players at least.
It's definitely. I mean, China don't play enough games to have 100 win at 13. I don't think.
Yes, that's likely.
I'm thinking. I want to check the records for Lee Chang-ho because Lee Chang-ho obviously made pro very young.
Oh yeah, you're right. Lee Chang-ho could have gotten 100 wins.
Yes. I think Lee Chang-ho was the only one that's in my mind that might have beaten her, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah. We might check the record and see how that goes. But
actually, yeah, I'm just checking it now, and he did get to 100 wins in 1988.
Right.
Which was when he would have turned 13. So Lee Chang-ho might have gotten 100 wins at a younger age.
Right. Which is crazy.
But it's very close.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
But anyway, yeah, she's easily the youngest
in Japan.
In Japan, and it only took her 3 years and 2 months.
Yep. So she played a lot of games.
Well, yes, and she's won a lot of them as well.
Yeah.
And the previous record was nearly 16 years, 15 years and 11 months.
Yep.
By Choi Jeong.
Yeah.
If you can see the picture there, mind you, these are their current pictures.
Right.
These are not pictures of them at the age they got 100 wins.
Well, thanks for that.
So yes, Choi Jeong did not have a moustache.
Yeah. Yeah.
At 15.
But his hairstyle was probably the same.
Yeah. But the thing is, you can see there that of the top 5, the top 5 are all very famous players. So you've got Nakamura Sumire, then you've got Choi Jeong, and then 3rd place is Iyama Yuta, 4th place Fujisawa Arena, and 5th place Ichiriki Ryu.
Yeah.
And what's even more interesting is you can see there it indicates how long it took them to get 100 wins.
Right.
And all of them took longer than Nakamura Sumire.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Iyama took 3 years and 4 months, whereas Nakamura Sumire only took 3 years 2 months.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
So yeah, it's not just that she started young.
Yeah.
Obviously she turned pro very young, but she racked up the wins, at a fairly impressive rate.
I mean, obviously she's the youngest ever challenger for a title in Japan. So
yeah, she's the youngest ever challenger. She just challenged for, I think it was women's Minjun.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I think we'll see her in the Globis Cup soon enough.
Hopefully.
She definitely was strong enough to participate this year, but she lost. I think she lost to Nishimura Jin.
Right. Yeah.
In the qualifiers, I can't be sure of that. She definitely lost it. She definitely lost in the qualifiers, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, already got 100 wins. That's insane. Mind you, Choi Jeong, by the way, has the most wins in Japanese history.
Yep.
Over 1,500 wins.
Right. Yeah.
Which is insane for the Japanese go. So who knows how many Sumire can get? Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. So let's watch and see. I think. Yeah. Okay. Now, is there anything else we should cover in this podcast in this episode?
The only thing maybe is if we can get an update on the Transatlantic League.
Let's see if it updates. But I think they played over the weekend, so I can't really remember what's happened.
But I do think that we're we're a little more than halfway through the Transatlantic League, so maybe we can get a quick update.
Yeah. So let's.
Oh, actually, yeah. You can see that a couple of the players here have already finished their games.
Right.
So let's have a look at Group A.
So we have Ryan Lee on 3 wins out of 3.
Right.
Yep. He's only lost 1 game to Ali Jabran. I think
But he won all of his matches.
Yeah, all of his matches.
So every match is best of 3.
Best of 3, yes. So so another notable player is Brady Zhang. I think he's not even in the upcoming North American Pro qualification tournament.
But that's a disappointment.
Yeah, but he's got 2 out of 3 wins. He won 2 matches out of 3. He lost a match to Ali, looks like, but he won the other one. So that's
now. What's the format for this? Is it just the 2 winners of each group play each other?
I think it's mentioned somewhere around here. Yeah, so it's what is it? There's going to be a quarterfinal, so that should be 8 players. So what is it?
It's the top 3 in each group.
Right. So it's A2. Okay. Yeah. So 1, 2, and 3.
So you just need to finish top 3. Okay.
Yeah. So 2 looks like 2 and 3 play, right, of the opposite groups, and the winner plays. How does that work? Oh no!
So the winner of each group, gets a bye to the semi-final.
Yeah, basically in the quarterfinals, that's how it works. So that's how it works. But of course, it's a very fast game. I'm yet to see one of these live,
but in any case, you just need to finish top 3 in your group, and you're still alive.
Correct.
So Andre Kravats has finished his games, and he's got 2 wins.
Right. So
that may be enough.
Maybe.
That may be enough for 3rd place.
Yeah.
Because it looks like Tanguy Lecalve hasn't got a win yet, so he can only get 1 point.
Yeah.
At most. And Ali Jabaran, he's on 1 point. He's got 1 game left, so he could get to 2, but Andre Kravats won their matchup.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the tiebreakers are.
Yeah.
So
I'm not sure if it's mentioned here. Probably. Yeah, tiebreaker, Solus, and win-loss difference, mutual game.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so strength of defeats.
Yeah. So,
well, I can't be. Well, I mean,
let's just go through the results. I think.
So let's go to Group B now. Yeah. Now the big news here is Kevin Yang.
Yeah.
Hasn't even lost a game.
No, he's won a game by 30.5. So that's a bit crazy.
So the new pro Stanislaw Freelak. I'm sure I've butchered that name. I apologize.
No worries.
But he's yet to get on the board. He's only got 1 game left, so he's eliminated.
Yep, it's gone.
Pavol Lissi, he's finished his round robin.
Yeah.
And he's on 2 points.
2 points. Yep.
So that may be enough to get 3rd place.
Right.
Or even 2nd. Artem Kachanovsky, he's on 2 points. He's still got a game left, but it's against Kevin Yang.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe he'll be able to win. I don't know.
Yeah.
And Ilya Shikshin, he's already played 3 games and he's only won 1.
Yeah, which is a bit of a surprise, but hey, you never know.
Bit of a surprise. He's playing Stanislaw Freelak in his final round, so he may be able to get a win there. And who knows if that'll be enough for him to get to the quarterfinal.
Yeah, no. So it's a bit tough. So his odds would be 2 if he wins. A bit tough. It'll be a surprise if Ilya.
It'll be a big shock if he doesn't even make the quarterfinals. You would have expected him to win his group.
Yeah, or I mean,
because I didn't have any idea how strong Kevin Yang was.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So I mean, Kevin Yang is definitely proving himself to be very, very strong.
Yeah,
So,
he's very formidable. I definitely want to see him against I want to see him against Ryan Lee.
yeah. So basically, it could have. I mean, it might have already been decided that Amateur is going to win this group.
Um, Artem Kachanovsky plays Kevin Yang.
Right.
So if Artem Kachanovsky wins,
Yeah.
um,
He might be able to top the group.
he might be able to top the group. I think he would win on tie breaks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah. So yeah. So let's see.
So Kevin Yang isn't guaranteed first place in the group. He needs to win his last game.
Yep. So that continue to
but
watch this.
but it does look like it is shaping up for a potential Ryan Lee versus Kevin Yang final.
Yeah, which would be super interesting. Yes.
I definitely want to see that.
Yeah. Let's see. That.
But looks like there's only a few more games left. When the round robin finishes, we should mention in the podcast.
Yeah.
Who's made it through to the quarterfinals?
Yeah. We probably should do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, this week there are a couple of YK Construction Cup games, a couple of GS Caltex Cup games, but I don't really think we need to cover them just yet. I mean, like we should say, Yun Sang-il played in the GS Caltex Cup. He won in the round of 16. Park Chun-wan played today. He won round of 16. A notable mention is in the YK Construction Cup. Kim Myung-hun lost.
Yep.
So Kim Myung-hun was, he's been in a red hot form. He beat Shin Jinseo in that tournament.
Yeah.
He's made it through to the quarterfinals of the LG Cup. But he lost. Yeah, he lost this week in the YK Construction Cup. So doesn't win. He doesn't win everything. No. Anyway, what is happening next week? What's happening in the coming week?
Yeah, it's coming week. Well, tomorrow is going to be Honimbo Game 4. It's going to be massive.
So I expect that to be the final game of this year's Honimbo.
Yeah. So the only way this could be a final game is Yama Yuta wins against Ichiriki to make the whole series 4-0. As unlikely as that might have sounded, prior to the first game, this could be heading this way. But Ichiriki could, of course, rescue one game and then make it 3-1, but that's happening. And the next week, all I can see is a bunch of Weiqi Construction Cups and the Women's League. And by the time we probably record the next podcast, the Southwest King hasn't happened, which is the domestic Chinese competition, fast games. But that's going to happen in the next weekend. So that's all the games upcoming.
Yeah, for the Shin Jinseo fans, he will play his round of 16 GS Caltex Cup game on Thursday.
Right.
It's against Han Sang-hoon.
Yep.
Yeah, that's about it. I think. Are there any big Japanese games? Let me just see if I can have a very, very quick check.
Yeah. The Japanese games even out yet?
Yes, they are.
Right.
On Thursday, Iyama will play his second S-League Kisei S-League game against Yuzenchi.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean there's the Aizu Central Hospital Cup. The first two games are on. Oh no, that's next week.
Yeah.
Never mind. Yeah, it just looks like the biggest Japanese game will be the Kisei S League.
Yeah. Okay. So that should be a wrap for this week.
Yep.
Yep. And thanks, Gaza.
No worries.
Yep. I will see you next week.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Bye.